Good morning. I'm Commander Sean Robertson, and I will be moderating today's briefing. We will begin with our brief with a quick communication check. Sir, can you hear me?
I can. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, sir. This brief we should have ample time for this brief this morning. Today we have Colonel Sean Ryan, spokesperson for Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve in Baghdad, Iraq, for an update on operations. Sir, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I hope everyone had a happy holiday and are staying safe with the weather on the East Coast. I'll get right into it by discussing the ongoing operations in Iraq and Syria. Along the Syrian-Iraqi border, the 8th Iraqi Army Division continues to reinforce border security by engaging and repelling ISIS militants as they try to flee the offensive in the Middle Euphrates River Valley. Iraqi units continue to conduct coordinated strikes even as ISIS elements probe border positions with vehicle-borne IEDs, motorcycles, small arms fires, and mortars. On 20 November, the Iraqi Air Force launched 2 airstrikes targeting an ISIS weapons facility and a building that housed 30 ISIS fighters. This operation also signifies the ability of the Iraqi security forces to protect its borders and to uproot cells. In Mosul, Iraqi SWAT forces, backed by coalition air support, carried out a security operation in the Al-Menkhor village that resulted in 5 enemies killed. More importantly, this operation demonstrated the ISF are strengthening their intelligence gathering to disrupt enemy operations and to protect the Iraqi citizens from bombings and kidnappings. Another example of a successful ISF operation which resulted in the death of an ISIS senior leader, codenamed Kakut, who was known to have planned and conducted attacks in Al-Haider, southwest of Mosul. He was killed in Salah ad-Din province after fleeing from the scene of an attack earlier in the week. Moving to Syria, in the Middle Euphrates River Valley, the coalition continues to support the SDF ground operations against ISIS with air and artillery strikes, pushing back enemy defensive positions and removing terrorists from the battlefield. These strikes have thwarted ISIS counterattacks and ensure they remain contained in the MERV. The SDF continues to set conditions for our offensive operations like staging weapons, reinforcing fighting positions, and channeling reinforcements into the fight. ISIS remnants are fortifying their positions and digging in for a protracted campaign. We should remain patient, as fighting will continue to be intense as we continue to pressure the enemy into smaller and smaller spaces. This is the last real physical terrain held by enemy forces, and they will continue to wage a resistance as they steadily lose relevance. Also in Syria, the SDF arrested a senior ISIS official accused in the involvement in the assassination of Sheikh Bashir Vassal al-Wadi, an Arab chieftain in Raqqa. This targeted operation undermines the enemy's ability to operate in the shadows and allows the SDF to ultimately eliminate sleeper cells that continue to threaten civilians and prolong their demise. The coalition and its partners will continue to fight terrorists and degrade their capabilities. It's important to take the fight to this enemy. We must continue to consolidate our considerable gains. Near Manbij, the alliance between Turkish and U.S. forces in the combined joint patrols allows us to continue to deny terrorists access to this area, which over time has become a community that is thriving. This stability is the direct result of our focus of our NATO ally Turkey and through cooperation with local officials from Manbij. Additionally, U.S. forces are establishing observation posts in northeast Syria to further deny escape routes to ISIS, who may try to flee the MERV into Turkey to the north. These observation posts will provide additional transparency and will better enable Turkey's protection from ISIS elements. ISIS must be defeated, and we must fight them here, because it means our loved ones across the globe will be safer if we do. And this is where the greatest concentration of evil is located. To accomplish this, we cannot walk away. We must stay and work with our partners to develop their capabilities and capacity and ensure they can prevent this enemy from ever threatening Iraq, Syria, and any other country around the world. With that update, I'll be happy to take your questions.
For all questions, please provide your full name and agency prior to asking your question. All called upon will have an opportunity to ask one follow-up. Qasim?
Colonel Ryan, thanks. This is Qasim Ilari with Anadolu Agency. Colonel Ryan, this is the second time that we are hearing about the U.S. or the coalition training 30,000 fighters in northern East Syria. Once Colonel Dillon disclosed that the United States is training a border security forces, then it was immediately denied by the Pentagon. And then now the PYD has released a statement saying that the coalition and the United States is going to train 30,000 troops, actually SDF fighters, to challenge the Iranian presence inside Syria. Colonel Ryan, can you confirm that the coalition is training 30,000 SDF fighters inside Syria to challenge Iranian presence?
I can tell you that, as you know, we have trained the SDF in the past, and their success in the MERV has proven that. They're a capable force, but we're not tracking a physical memorandum of agreement right now, so I'd have to tell you to probably refer to the SDF spokesman for further clarification at this point.
And follow up on the outposts along the Turkish border. I know it's a unilateral United States act move, but what will be the role of the coalition in that? And has the coalition consulted with the SDF about those outposts?
No, we have coordinated with the Department of State and have briefed Turkey on these operations because these are on the Turkish border.
Thank you.
Lori?
Lauren Milroy, Kurdistan 24. Thank you very much, Colonel Ryan, for doing this. You mentioned the killing of Katkut in Salahuddin. Could you tell us more about who this person is, where he's from?
Sure, Lori. Thanks for the question. I should say doctor. He is Iraqi-born. Of course, he was killed in the Salahuddin province. He led a mortar detachment. He was known as an ISIS emir that held various leadership positions. And of course, more importantly, he attacked and killed and injured Iraqi civilians, and he had to go. So it's another example of a close coordination where the senior leaders are being eliminated, and that only helps the progress of the coalition.
Thanks. And a follow-up on the outposts. Turkey has said it objects to those outposts. Has anyone managed to work something out with Turkey to see their value?
Well, the value is it brings stability and enables better fight against ISIS in the area. We're actually securing the locations by manning these observation posts. So I think it's a win-win for both on this one.
Have you got Turkey to agree to that?
Yes, Turkey was fully briefed on this.
Brian?
Hey, Colonel, thank you for doing this. Have you seen, now that these outposts are being set up, have you seen continued cross-border attacks from the Turkish side or from the Syrian side? Is that stopped? And I have one additional question on Hajin, if I can.
Okay. Well, in the last week alone, we've probably seen over 100 strikes of sorts, munitions, not anything specific, into our area. And obviously, this is a very reckless on these individuals' part to do that because it's not along the same lines as us fighting ISIS. This is in the MERV area, of course. But that's all we have at this point. I'm not going to name and shame anyone. But there's going to be a press release out on this tomorrow, so there'll be more information involved in that.
Sorry, Colonel, I was asking specifically about cross-border attacks on the Turkish-Syrian border. Those attacks had kind of forced the offensive in Hajin to stop previously. These posts are going in there. Have you seen any more cross-border attacks, or have those stopped?
We have not seen any more at this point.
Thank you.
Sylvie?
Hello, Sylvie Lambton from AFP. You were speaking about the observation posts. When do you plan to finish installing them, and how many do you plan to install?
Well, we're still looking at locations right now. I can't tell you the number that we're going to install because that's operational security. But we're looking at appropriate space, and then we'll go from there once we find that.
So do you already have some, or is it really starting, a process that just started?
No, right now we're in the progress of securing locations. They have not been completed yet.
Sir, there in the fourth row.
Hey, sir. It's Carlo Munoz of the Washington Times. Quick question. Ambassador Jeffrey gave an interview to Russian news outlets last week, basically saying there have been, quote, various engagements, end quote, between U.S. forces and Russian, I guess, paramilitaries that have been working in Syria. Outside of the incident that happened in February. During the interview, he said these engagements have happened, quote, a dozen times or so, sometimes involving small arms fire, sometimes involving deconfliction. He didn't really provide any more detail as far as, the locations of these engagements, how intense they were. Can you provide some more information on what exactly Ambassador Jeffrey is talking about?
I cannot. Any further information would violate operational security. I can tell you that after February, I came in right after that, and we have not had any problems on that front. The deconfliction process has been proven to work, and so far, that's what we've been seeing.
So then, Ambassador Jeffrey, these incidents that he is citing in this interview, they just haven't been occurring, or they just haven't been reported? Again, I'm just trying to sort of square this circle here between what he's saying and your comments.
Right. Well, I also, he did not give a timeline on that, so it could possibly be before February. I don't know. I really don't want to speculate on something like that. All I can tell you, since I've been here, we've used the deconfliction process, and we haven't had any serious incidents.
Thank you.
Lucas.
Colonel Lucas Tomlinson with Fox News. What can you tell us about this large ISIS counterattack in eastern Syria recently?
Okay. Well, yes, in the Merv, ISIS counterattacked, and we've been saying this from the beginning, that it's a very difficult fight. I mean, this is definitely not, Mayberry. People are dying, and for the ISIS side, it's fight till the end, and they have a lot of booby traps and IEDs and suicide fighters out there, and basically they came up with a counterattack in poor weather conditions, and kind of caught the SDF off guard, quite frankly. Since they've regained all the territory they lost, casualties have been inflicted on both sides, but the SDF continues the march on.
And just to follow up to just overall operations in Syria, are you seeing Iranian or Iranian-backed forces increasing weapon shipments to Syria, growing in size in Syria or Iraq, by that matter?
No, I'm not tracking that right now. So there's someone out there that might be tracking that, but definitely not from the coalition side.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you. Colonel Jeff Shogel with Task and Purpose. I believe you mentioned there's going to be a news release tomorrow about munitions being used, and I'm wondering, can you say, what is this about? Are you saying that actors are doing airstrikes and artillery strikes close to U.S. forces and the SDF?
I can tell you no U.S. forces have been put in any danger. I'm saying that there are malign actors that are firing into our areas right now. So that's something that we're looking into. And again, I think the press release will shed a little bit more light on that. I don't have all that information at this time.
Thank you. Is there a reason you use terms like malign actors as opposed to, say, Iran or Hezbollah?
Sure, because I'm not going to get into the name and shame game. I think it's more important that for operation security purposes that we just know where the strikes are coming from, and that way, if we have the right to defend ourselves, if we have to do that, we will. But it hasn't gotten to that point yet.
I could just follow up one more time. The coalition does name and shame ISIS, Al Qaeda, and others. What is different about Hezbollah and Iran?
Well, right now the fight is against ISIS in the MERV, and that's our mission right now, and that's all I'll state for that one.
Tuna.
Thank you, Colonel Tuna Şanlı from Turkish Radio Television. I want to follow up the previous two questions about the outposts to clarify the purpose of the observation posts. First of all, Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar told that they are not happy with the idea of the observation posts. And on the other hand, you say that these observation posts built to protect Turkey from ISIS attacks. So are these observation posts built for both protecting Turkey and YPG?
Well, what it does is it's committed to the security in the northeastern Syria region, and it takes Turkey's security concerns as well. So that's important. They're a NATO partner. They're also a coalition partner. So if we see any ISIS coming into that area, they're the first ones that we're going to call.
Caitlin.
Thank you.
Hi, Caitlin Kenny with Stars and Stripes. I wanted to follow up on what you said that in Syria an ISIS official was captured. Do you have a name and what their rank within the organization is?
Right now, the reports we have, we can't positively ID that person yet, so I do not have that information.
But you know that he's a leader in ISIS somehow?
Are you talking about Katkut, or are you talking about someone else?
You didn't give a name. You said that in Syria there was an ISIS official that was captured. I don't think you gave a name. I think there was someone in Iraq too, but you said in Syria, I believe.
That was Iraq. Right. The story that I talked about, the Katkut, was in Iraq. For Syria, there's reports out there that the number 2 ISIS Baghdadi's deputy was apprehended, and right now we cannot confirm any of that information.
Okay. And my follow-up on the Ambassador Jeffrey's comments about engagements with Russia. You said you haven't seen an increase? I mean, like in the past, like how have you been able to make sure that that hasn't like increased, or the deconfliction is working?
Repeat that again, please.
Sorry, I'm kind of all over. I guess, like, you said there hasn't been any incidents since February with Russia in attacking American forces, or like clashes between the two?
Correct, since February.
Okay, so you don't know when the dozen ones that he was referring to happened at all? You don't know if they happened this year?
No, I do not, unless there's some high secret stuff that I'm not aware of. I'm not tracking that at all.
Okay.
Thank you. Tom Watkins, AFP. Can you please characterize the size of the remaining ISIS contingent in the MERV, and give us your assessment about how they were able to launch this big counteroffensive?
Well, I can tell you they have not lost their will to fight. And we're seeing about 2,000 fighters still left in the MERV area. They're determined. We're seeing some foreign terrorist fighters that have nowhere else to go, so they're going to fight to the end. A lot of them were in suicide vests, like I mentioned before. So anyone can have a good day, any given Sunday, right? And they had theirs. And the SDF responded back and regained all the territory back. Like I said, sometimes war is a give and take, and you're going to have good days and bad days. The enemy just happened to have one good day, and then the SDF beat them right back. So we still are 100% feel that they're going to be taken over in the MERV area, and that the SDF will beat ISIS down. And we're pretty confident about that.
Okay, just to follow up, it's been, I'm sorry I don't have an exact timeline, but it feels like it's been at least a year that we've been hearing this, and the same number and the same area. So is it that the overall number of ISIS fighters is not diminishing, i.e. they're being replenished, or there's a stalemate, or what's going on there? Why is it taking so long?
Well, again, it's less about the number of fighters and more about capabilities. And I can tell you every day their capabilities are being degraded as far as communication, logistics, any type of supplies, food, ammunition. So that's more important. The numbers game is difficult to count because ISIS is underground. They're in tunnels, they're hiding. So it's not like we watch them walk into a building and we're counting as they go in. So they're spread apart, and you have to understand the battlefield is a very big desert battlefield as well, so it's very difficult to come up with numbers to do that. And of course, I believe General Dunford had said last month that for a while there we're seeing about 100 fighters coming into the region as replacements as well. So the number has kind of stayed in that area, but again, it's just an estimate, and eventually they'll be overtaken.
Later.
Thank you. Lena with Al Jazeera. Thank you for doing this, Colonel. I just had a quick question about the observation posts. I was wondering if you can share with us the number of U.S. troops that will be placed on those posts.
I can't give you that number for observation, for OPSEC, obviously reasons. And again, keep in mind, a lot of questions on these outposts, but this is still very new. Sometimes you have to build the airplane in flight, and we're going to figure this out, and we're going to come up with the best solution to provide security in that region for both ourselves and for Turkey.
Anybody who hasn't asked a question yet that still wants one? All right, Carlo?
Hey, sir, it's Carlo Munoz again with the Washington Times. Just wanted to see, there have been also reports that the United Nations is considering sending in weapons inspectors to investigate claims of the use of chemical weapons in Syria. What I wanted to see was, has there been any interaction between UN officials and coalition officials as far as facilitating that trip? What kind of force protection measures would be taken, and if so, would they be provided by the coalition, or would it be provided by groups like the SDF or anything like that?
Those discussions have not happened as far as I'm tracking, but of course we're always willing to assist the UN for different needs.
Thank you.
Sylvie.
I have another question, Sylvie from AFP. Can you confirm the number of 92 SDF killed in 3 days during this counterattack by ISIS?
I can tell you there was losses on both sides, but we're tracking the casualties for SDF around 80.
Okay. Thank you.
Ryan?
Hey, Colonel, just one last one on observation posts. The Secretary Mattis, when he announced that these posts were going in, said that no additional U.S. troops would be going to Syria to help man them. But isn't there a concern, as this fighting in Hajin is really intense right now? You mentioned the 80 casualties by the SDF. Pulling U.S. troops away from supporting that effort and putting them up on these observation posts without bringing any additional resources? Isn't this a diversion of resources that you have at your disposal?
Ryan, I don't think so. I mean, there's already forces in that area, so they'll just have to take on an additional responsibility.
Thank you.
I have Lori and then Jeff, and then we'll wrap it up. Lori?
Okay, to follow up on this question of understanding ISIS, I think the question about this in Syria, you had mentioned that there had been a senior ISIS official who assassinated a tribal leader in Raqqa. Do you have any more details on that person?
Right. No, I can tell you that not on the assassination itself. It did happen, during the day. He was a key figure with the Raqqa Civil Council, and obviously he was, beloved in that area, trying to help that area get going. But besides that, I don't have any more information.
But what about the ISIS figure who assassinated him? You said the SDF arrested the ISIS figure. Can you tell us who this ISIS figure is? Was he Syrian, for example?
I'm sorry, say that again, Lori.
You said that in your introductory remarks that the SDF had arrested a senior ISIS official who had assassinated a tribal leader in Raqqa. And I think the earlier question in mine as well. Can you tell us more about the senior ISIS official who was arrested? Was he Syrian, for example?
I can't tell you more because they're still investigating that, Lori, so I don't want to give out any more information than I'm not supposed to.
Okay, Jeff, for one last question here.
Thank you. Colonel Jeff with Task and Purpose again. For 11 consecutive months, the coalition has said that ISIS has only 2% of its geographical caliphate left, and there are roughly 2,000 fighters in the Merv Valley. How is that progress if that's still the case after 11 months?
Well, again, Jeff, it's not about land, and it's down to less than 1%. It's about their capabilities, and dismantling their capabilities goes a long way. You start tracking the money down, you start taking away their logistic supplies. There's no more will to fight once those go away, so that is progress.
Sir, did you have any final words for those here?
I will say I want to give condolence on two different levels. One, to the SDF fighters that gave their lives this past weekend, of course, to our fellow warriors in Afghanistan that were killed as well. So our thoughts and prayers go out to their families.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a fantastic day.
You as well.